So I'm here to do my Premier League predictions for the 24-25 Premier League season. So I'm going to go from 20 to 1. I'm also going to do some predictions like who I think is going to get sacked first, who I think is going to get the most goals, who's going to get the most assists, player of the season, young player of the season, and I might do like some of the cup competitions as well. So starting in 20th, I've got Southampton. They went down in the 22-23 season. They came straight back up. But I just don't see a world where Southampton stay up. Because I don't think their squad's good enough. They might cause a few surprises at St Mary's because St Mary's isn't an easy place to go. But I don't see them like taking any points off like the big boys when they go away from home. So I don't think it's going to be enough. In 9-team spot, it's a team that's been flirting with relegation for a long time, and it's Nottingham Forest. I don't think Nuno's a good enough manager. He was all right at Wolves, but at Forest he hasn't done a great job, and I think this is their time to go down. And it is a bit sad because I do like Forest as a club. Because they have got a nice stadium with a good atmosphere. And they have got good away support as well, and they are a fairly big club as well, but I feel like their squad's not good enough to stay up this season. In 8-team spot, this is going to be probably the biggest surprise, and I'm going for Brentford. They've not really invested much this summer. I feel like Thomas Frank has been overachieving with that Brentford squad, and I think, unfortunately, because I really do like Brentford, this is the year that they go down, unfortunately. Whether they come back or not, if they do go down, is another question, but yeah, unfortunately, I'm going Brentford to get relegated. 7 teams just narrowly avoiding the drop. I've got for Ipswich Town. They've got the best manager out of the newly promoted teams. It's just whether their squad's got enough to do it. I think their squad's got enough to do it, but it's going to be barely. It'll be their Portman Road form that will keep them up. But if Kieran McKenna ends up going somewhere else, then they're going to go down. Because he's one of the positives about Ipswich Town, and without him, I think they'd probably go down. So they need to make sure that they do everything in their power to keep Kieran McKenna at Ipswich Town. In 16th spot, I've got newly promoted Leicester. I've seen people say like wild predictions like they're going to get quite high, but their squad's nowhere near the level of the squad that they had when they last were in the Premier League when they got relegated. They've lost players like Tielemans, Ndidi, I think might be gone, Kasper Schmeichel, Harvey Barnes, James Maddison, Dewsbury Hall this summer as well. So, and they've lost, what's his name? Maresca to Chelsea. So they've lost a lot of players and on top of the manager. So it's going to be a struggle for them, but I do think they will stay up. And if they get a point deduction, then they're done, Leicester. But I don't think it will happen. I reckon they'll be alright without the point deduction. And in 15th, in that bracket of mid-table, I've got Bournemouth. I think they're going to comfortably stay up. They've got Areola, who I think is a fantastic manager. But the sad thing for Bournemouth is, how long can they actually keep hold of Areola? Because with the level that he's doing at Bournemouth, surely at some point, either bigger clubs in England or bigger clubs worldwide are going to come in for him, which is unfortunate, but it's just how it's going to happen. I don't think it'll be this season. I think he's going to stay, but and they've lost Solanke as well, so that could affect them because he's gone to Tottenham. But I reckon they're going to be all right, and 15th is decent. In 14th spot, I've got Wolves. I did underrate Wolves a bit in my predictions last year. I did have them to get relegated, but they stayed up comfortably, and I think they are a pretty good side, and I rate them quite highly. They've lost Neto, but I still think they've got a pretty decent squad, so they're not going to get into Europe, but they're not going to go down, and they're going to stay up comfortably. So 14th for Wolverhampton Wanderers. In 13th spot, I've got Brighton. They've got a new manager. Obviously, De Zerbi's gone. But I still think they've got a very good squad. They've got Matoma. They've got João Pedro. They've got... The keeper's pretty decent. I forget his name. They've got Evan Ferguson, good striker. They've got Lewis Dunk, on his day can be a decent centre-back. And I think they're going to stay up quite comfortably, 13th. In 12th, I've got Everton. I think some people might see this as high, but I feel like they were good last season. It was just the point deduction that made them not end up being as high as they could have been if it weren't for the point deduction. They've lost Onana in midfield, which is a bit of a loss, but I think Branthwaite might end up staying, you know, because he's been linked with a move away for a lot of the transfer window, but I've got a sort of inkling with United signing De Ligt, and I think they might have bought a couple of other defenders that they might not go in for Branthwaite between now and the end of the window. And I think with it being Everton's last year at Goodison, they're going to give a lot of teams trouble, put it that way, when teams travel to Goodison Park, because the atmosphere is going to be on another level this year, with it being their last season at Goodison compared to previous years. So I don't think many teams will get points there. In 11th spot, wait, who did I have in 11th? I forget. Let me think. I can't remember who I had in 11th. I'll go for Crystal Palace in 11th. Because they've lost to Lise. They've lost. They might lose, I say they might not. I've seen some people say crazy predictions for them, but I think 11th for them is about right. Because they tend to finish at like around 11th or 12th. In 9th spot... Wait, is it 9th? No, 10th, I think. In 10th spot, I've got West Ham. I think they've done good business, so I think they're going to be nowhere near the relegation zone, but I feel like they're going to fall just short of Europe. Because what West Ham tend to do is that they start the season off quite well most of the time. And when it comes to the actual like business end of the season, that's when they start falling off. So I feel like 10th is a reasonable prediction for West Ham. In 9th, I've got Newcastle. I know Newcastle and 9th might seem quite low, but what I can see is that they do quite well in the cup competitions this year, but in the league they don't do that well. And I've got a feeling Eddie Howe might be one of those managers that's in a position where he's on the brink of getting sacked at one point in the season. So I'm going Newcastle 9th. No, actually, I'm going to switch 9th. I'm going to put Fulham in 9th. My bad, I'm going to switch 9th. I'm going to put Fulham in 9th. Because I think... I've just realised I forgot to put them. And I think 9th might be a bit of a... That's a prediction that could go horribly wrong. Or it could be something that, like, shocks everyone and I'm right. But I'm going Fulham in 9th. I reckon. Because I tend to be quite harsh on Fulham with my predictions. So I'm going to be nicer than this time and go 9th. In 8th, Newcastle. I reckon they do well in the cups, but in the league, they don't do that great. And I reckon they might win one of the cups this year, like the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, but I think as for like Europe or anything like that, I don't think they're going to do anything like that in the Premier League. In 7th, I've got Aston Villa. I think with Europe this year, especially with it being the Champions League, then they're going to do nowhere near as good as they did last year in the league. Because I think they've still got Watkins. I thought some clubs might have come in for him. They've got Diaby that's gone to Saudi Arabia after only one season. That surprised me. I can see like a world where they start the season off quite well, but then when it gets into the business point of the season, they're going to fall off because I think if Tottenham had pushed Villa well enough, I feel like Villa would have crumbled. I felt like Tottenham bottling it last season made it easier for Villa to get over the line. But on to sixth spot. I've got Chelsea. Because I think Maresca, although he won the league with Leicester, it's a massive jump to go from Leicester, who's not that big of a club, to Chelsea, that's a big club that expects to be competing for top four and competing for the big trophies. They've got Dewsbury Hall in, decent signing. Pedro Neto, good signing. But with all the money that they've spent, they've still not gone out and sorted out their defence yet, or sorted out their attack with an out-and-out number 9 that can get 20 goals or something like that. And I think if they got a striker, then there could be a problem. And because they haven't really replaced Thiago Silva properly, there's talk of Gallagher going still, which is up in the air sort of, because we don't know whether he's going to stay or he's going to go. They've not really replaced Thiago Silva with anyone that amazing, I'm pretty sure anyway. And they're not going to score. I feel like Chelsea are going to be like a basketball team at points where they have a lot of like high scoring games, like where they like score quite a few but they concede quite a few. Like last season they had 4-4 against City, and when they beat Man United 4-3. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have quite a lot of games like that next season, like quite chaotic games. And I remember that Spurs game 4-1 where Spurs got 2 players sent off, but even though Chelsea won the game 4-1, they struggled at points to break Tottenham down, even though Tottenham had 2 less players on the pitch. And I feel like they will win the Conference League, Chelsea, I think, if they take it seriously enough anyway. But they're not going to get top 4 because they're not consistent enough at all. They turn up against the big teams, but when they play like the lower ranked teams, that's what's costing them. And I'm not sure whether with Maresca they're going to sort that out. He might get sacked, but I don't really see like any managers out there, if he does get sacked, that would actually want to go to Chelsea in the current state that they're in. In 5th spot, I've got Tottenham Hotspur. One of the reasons why I've got them 5th and not 4th is because the team that I've got above them, I feel like won't take the Europa League as much seriously because they tend to win trophies every couple of years, whereas Tottenham still haven't won a trophy since 2008, which was the Carabao Cup, I think. So Tottenham need to go all out for that Europa League. So playing Thursday and Sunday is going to be what costs them to come in the top 4 through the league. But I feel like there's a good chance that Spurs could win the Europa League because it's only really United in there that could give them a challenge. And I think that Spurs will win the Europa League but come 5th in the Premier League. In 4th, I've got Man United. The thing is with Man United, they could easily come 4th or 3rd, but then they could easily come like 8th or 9th. It's a funny one, Man United. They've got De Ligt in, they've got Matsuraoui in, they've got that geezer in, I don't know how to say his name, but he's injured. They've let go of Wan-Bissaka. They've still got Maguire and Johnny Evans on the books. And like players like Scott McTominay, so there's still a lot of deadwood in the squad. They've got good youngsters like Diallo, Garnacho. But Rashford needs to go. He's not good enough anymore. I'm still not convinced by Ten Hag. I'd be amazed if by like at the back end of the season he's still at United. At some point this season he's getting sacked, and I'm 100% sure of it. And Thomas Tuchel will come in. They're going a good run, and they're getting to the top 4. That's just my take. Because I feel like Tuchel would really suit United. He'd suit the style of play really well. Because he likes to play on the break, and that's what United like to do. So I think that would be a good move for United. In third, I've got Arne Slot's Liverpool. I think he's going to do better than what people expect him to do. He's not going to get sacked or anything like that. But I expect, with Liverpool's running at the beginning of the season being quite easy, no disrespect to the teams that they're playing, but I feel like they'll be top at maybe October, September time, or maybe after the first international break. But I feel like it'll be a similar situation to Pep's first season at City, where they fall off quite a bit in the winter periods and drop a lot of points and then end up coming miles behind first and second. But they're going to get top four comfortably because they're the best of the rest by some distance, I think. They've not really made a lot of moves in the summer. They had that CDM at Real Sociedad that broke down. They've lost players like Thiago, I think. Even though he was injury prone, he was one of their better midfielders. And I rated him quite highly. I do rate Gakpo, so he's a good player. So their attack will get them a lot of goals, but I'm not convinced by their back line because they've not really sorted the defence out. And there was talk of trying to go into Real Madrid. I don't think it's going to happen this summer, but maybe next summer it might happen. Second place, I've got Arsenal. The reason why I've got them in second, because they still need to get a world-class number 9. Because you can't win the league with Kai Havertz up front. And you can't win it with Jesus up front. I know City did at points, but he weren't playing as an out-and-out striker all the time. Arsenal have got Jesus playing as an out-and-out striker pretty much all the time, whereas he's not a clinical player. He's not a bad footballer, but in terms of finishing, that's where he's nowhere near good enough. And Havertz isn't good enough either if you want to win the league as a striker. And I still think they need a world-class midfielder to play alongside Rice and Odegaard, because I rate Odegaard and I rate Rice not as highly as maybe what some people do. And say that they're up there with the best midfielders in the league or in the world. In the league, yes, not in the world though. But they need a world-class midfielder to play alongside those two, because their other midfield options are not great. They've got Jorginho. He's all right, but he's not on the level of Rice or Odegaard. They've let go of Smith Rowe. They need to get someone that Frankie de Jong level or something like that to play alongside them, because City have got 3 world-class midfield players. We've got De Bruyne, Rodri, and Bernardo Silva. Arsenal only have 2 top-level midfielders. They don't have 3, and I feel like that's what they're lacking a bit. And champions, obviously, I'm going for City. I've not been too impressed with the summer window, to be honest. We've only got Savinho in. But there is talk that we're going to get some more players in, because Calvin Phillips has gone on loan to Ipswich. So that should maybe provide us some space in the squad to go and get a CDM in. And I'm hoping it's Kimmich, but it's going to be Bruno Guimaraes, I think, if it's anyone. I don't rate him that highly, to be fair. I think he's overrated. And I don't think he's good enough for the top 3 teams. it's good that we still kept hold of Ederson, because there was a lot of talk of him going to Saudi Arabia, but that's sort of all quieted down now, and it's confirmed that he's staying. Alvarez has gone to Atletico Madrid. That's a loss, but one thing I do have to say about Alvarez, he was a good finisher, but like when we played him in the midfield, he did tend to give the ball away quite a lot, and I don't think his first touch was that great either. He did work hard, I do give him that, but I feel like there's better strikers out there. And considering we only bought him for 17 million, to get 95 back for him is a good profit. But on to the top goal scorer. I think that man behind me, Erling Haaland's going to get the top goal scorer. I think he also gets player of the season. I feel like if he stays fit, he's having another season like the first year, like where he gets like 36 or thereabouts league goals. And for young player of the season, I've got Cole Palmer at Chelsea. And for most assists, I've also got Palmer. For most clean sheets, I've got David Raya at Arsenal, because I think they do have the best defence in the league. At this moment in current time, anyway. Manager of the season. That's a tough one. That's going to be Pep, I think. It'll be the winner of the league. It'll be either Pep or Arteta, because I don't see it being anyone else. First manager sacked. I've gone for Nuno at Nottingham Forest. Underperformers as a team. I'm going for Newcastle as that. And overachievers, I've got Fulham, because I reckon they'll be like around the 9th, top 10, something like that. Now on to the Carabao Cup. I reckon City will win that. FA Cup. Yeah, I'll go for City on that as well. Europa League, I'm going for Spurs. Champions League, I'm going for Real Madrid. Conference League, Chelsea. Is there anything else I haven't done? Let me think. No, I don't think so. I think I've done everything that I was supposed to do. Oh, should I do best signing? Best signing. That's a tough one. This has been a transfer window where there's not been many deals that have set the world alight. Well, I can't really say set the world alight because we haven't seen them play yet, but there's not been that many signings where I've thought, like, that's a great signing. Let me think. Maybe Matheus de Ligt at United. If they can get the best version out of him, there's a good chance that he could be the best signing. Because I did rate him really highly at Ajax. He was world class there, but he hasn't done much in his career since then. I don't think he was great at Juve or Bayern, so it depends really if United can get the best version out of Matheus de Ligt. If they can, then there's a real player on their hands. If not, then there's a possibility that he's a flop as well. So I don't really know with that one. But anyway, leave me your predictions in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys soon. Wait, I'll just carve something up. 1 minute. So I've decided to leave social media. It's because I keep getting into arguments with people on there. And like, whenever like I respond to it, I'm the one that's got to apologise. But when like it's them doing it, they don't have to apologise at all, and it's completely fine. And like, at least when it's me, I'm honest about the stuff that I've done. But when it's them, they just lie about it. So there's no point me really being on there if it's something that I'm not enjoying, which is the case. And like, there's been stuff like said like, I'm gonna shoot your dog, die, about me. Like pictures of my mum popping up, like doing stuff to me, which was edited pictures. Obsessions with my dad. Wait, did I say shoot my dog? Yeah, I think I did. And that's the reason why I've got that hair, because I was forced into it. They won't admit it, but I was forced into it. And they made me like do stuff as well to people that I didn't want to do stuff to. And I felt like it was expected of me. So that's why I'm leaving. And until I get to like level where I'm myself again, then I'm not going back on it, because there's too many toxic people on it. And when people say stuff about my family like it has been done, there's nothing that I won't say to give shit back to them. That's just my personal take. That's one line that you don't cross, and that's saying shit about my family. So, yeah. Because I think with the stuff that I said about other people's family, it was sort of deserved, but I was peer pressured into that, because there was stuff that I was told to say to people. But the thing is, when it was like towards me, there was no peer pressure involved. They said that and they meant it. That's the sad reality of it, really. And my autism was mocked on it as well. But the people that were doing it were lying. It was like a FIFA card that said 100% autism and 100% gay. But when you confront them on it, they just lie. So, bollocks to it. I'm not going back on it until it gets sorted out, which might never happen. But anyway, take care, have a nice day.